Welcome to episode 28. This episode is What is Human Design? The Basics Simplified, a beginner's guide to human design. If you are eager to learn more about yourself, you should know your human design. If you are not familiar with human design, you are in luck because I'm excited to have a special guest on this episode to talk about human design, what it is, what it means, how it works, and the 5 types. I want to welcome my special guest, Julian Kaneda, who is a Facebook ads coach who helps online course creators make meaningful connections on social media so that they can joyfully attract their aligned clients. His vision is to live in a world filled with joyful expression and limitless possibilities. Apart from his Facebook ads, he does this through his different works and passions, such as being an executive coach for business leaders, being a transformational life coach, human design, spirituality, podcasting, making music, and just enjoying life. Thank you for being here, Julian.
Thank you for having me, Carla. I'm really excited.
So tell us what human design is.
Again, thank you, and then welcome to everyone listening. This is the first time you're hearing about human design. I'm excited to have you here. To answer your question, I've heard human design defined in so many ways. I think one of my favorite ways is the art of or the science of differentiation, because what it is it allows us to see how each of us were uniquely designed. And it's not like any of those personality types, which of course I still subscribe to, where you're put into one box. It really takes into consideration your uniqueness, and it's very possible that there's only one you in this entire lifetime, which is really exciting and which I really resonate with. So when I was thinking about what is human design, what comes to mind really is in an earlier part of my life, I took up interior design. Didn't finish that, but basically one of my takeaways there was that the difference between design and decoration, where design was intentionally creating a specific space for a specific function. And in my opinion, we're here on a soul level, we're here for a specific purpose, each one of us. And when we chose to come here into this world, in order to fulfill that purpose, we specifically chose our bodies and how we would live our lives. And for me, that's what human design is. It's a map of how we were designed to live our life in this lifetime for this to fulfill the specific purpose or the specific vision that we each have. Now I know that's a real overarching definition, but in my mind, that's really what human design is for me. We can go into the specifics of the different charts and things like that, which we'll kind of get into later. But as a whole, that's really how I define human design. How each of us were designed to live our lives.
Love that. I really like how you compared it to interior design.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really great. So how does human design work?
Yeah. So there's a bit of astrology there, or at least you'll have to look into what we look at in terms of finding out your human design or finding out your human design chart. Is what you'll need is your birth date, your birth time, and your location. You can go to Google and look for human design charts, and there are so many different websites offering to give you your free chart. All you have to do is input these information along with your name, and in a few seconds you will see basically a map of yourself or your human design. And what it takes into consideration is where the planets are in relation to the moment you were born. Because at every moment, the planets, the stars, and then everything in the cosmos, they are giving off what we call neutrinos, which are basically stardust. They're basically little particles or subatomic particles that come from radioactive decay, right? Because they're stars, they're planets, and they're always traveling. And in the moment that we were born, that we came into existence into this Earth and into this planet, we collided with each of these different neutrinos from the different planets. And that's what we look at when we look at your chart, because that is basically your first impression of who you are. So it's kind of this reminder that this is who you are the moment you were born. This is basically where the planets are, and this is how you were designed. One of the stories I like really using is that story of the Golden Buddha, where in Thailand or in a certain village, there was a Golden Buddha, And when attackers or invaders came to invade, right, to protect the golden Buddha, they covered it up with mud and clay, of course, to keep it safe. So when the invaders came, they saw this whole statue made of mud and clay, and they didn't see anything of it, and they just left. Now the invasion took years, wherein the villagers had to move out of the village and things like that. And when it ended, everyone forgot about the golden Buddha, until one time it was raining very hard and someone started to see a bit of gold shining through the clay. So all the villagers at the time started to take out the clay and they started to see the shining, marvelous golden Buddha. And for me, that's what human design is. It's a reminder of us. It's a reminder for us of who we are. Because throughout our lifetime, we may have had a lot of conditioning, wherein to protect us, right? You know, have parents, school, and all of these different influences to tell us that's not right. That's wrong. Don't be so loud. Don't shine. Don't make yourself a leader and things like that. And we would take them, you know, because we didn't know any better, and we would forget who we are. And that's why for a lot of people, wherein there would be that breaking point that, like for me, for example, I used to not consider myself as a leader. I didn't like to shine in the spotlight because I grew up thinking that I shouldn't be in the spotlight. So I didn't like leadership positions and anything like that. But I was put in a position where it was really pressing towards me. I was getting frustrated at how everything was being handled and things like that, until I finally found myself stepping up to be the leader. And I started to see what other people were telling me about, hey, Julian, you should step up, you should be a leader. Because I saw in myself that, hey, I have this power, I have this ability to be able to lead and speak, and people will listen. And it took away that conditioning of, hey, don't shine your light and things like that. And then when I dove into human design, I realized that was one of my designs, being able to be true to who I am, to speak coming from who I am, and that's where people will listen. And so I started to embrace that. Right, so that's how we see the power of human design for a lot of people, really realizing who they are, who they were meant to be, what their powers are, and taking away all the conditioning that we started to cover ourselves with as we grew up. So yeah.
I really love the story of the Golden Buddha because there's so
Yeah.
many. I think everyone can really resonate with that on some level. Like I resonate with that because growing up in, my family, it's like you're supposed to be seen and not heard, and that kind of like, being covered in mud. And I really like lost my voice and had to go find it to become a speaker. There was times where I'm just like, I'm never gonna start a YouTube. Like that's something that I never would have dreamed of being possible in my life. And now we're here and I'm, have a YouTube and
Yeah.
taking up space. Like that was something that was never a thing where I used to just, try to be as small as possible and not make any, I didn't want to rock the boat.
Yeah.
So now I'm, I don't care what boats we're rocking, because the point is to take up space, make noise, and disturb the water in the right moments for the right reasons in the right way.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's very true. And later when we get to the specific designs, you said something specific that I'll go back to, specific to your design.
Yeah. So do you want to talk about the 5 types?
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, we can go into that. So having said all of that about human design, there's so many ways that we are defined as humans, or as people, and the very very top level of it would be the 5 types. We would all be categorized into 5 different types, but it gets so much deeper than that. But the very top level are the 5 types. The first type being what we call manifestors. And as far as I remember, Carla, you are a manifestor, right? So you and all other manifestors would be around 11% of the total population at the moment. And what makes you a manifestor is you have your throat center defined. So just as a quick step back, in human design, you will see like your body and 9 different shapes. Those different shapes are what we call energy centers. So they're very similar to the 7 chakras, but this time they're 9, and each of these centers have a energetic theme to it. So for manifestors, the throat center is defined and it's connected to something that we call a motor center. I'll try not to get too technical, but for manifestors, that's really one of your powers, basically your ability to be able to speak and things happen. Um, And for manifestors, you're here on this earth to initiate. Classic manifestors would have, lots of different ideas, want to start different things, and there will be that tendency to actually get bored with something you start with, right? The passion may die down, and that's okay. That's really part of the cycle for manifestors. So for a lot of manifestors, the call really is to be okay with that cycle, to want to have high energy to start something and then not want to continue with it and then hibernate for a bit until you come up with the next new thing. Because sometimes, especially for entrepreneurs, there's that whole idea of focus on one thing, see it through, and things like that. But not everyone is designed with that type of energy. Right. So for manifestors, the call is to just speak your mind. If there's anything that wants to come through, be able to speak it. No, and something to your point earlier, for a lot of manifestors, because it's a natural thing for us. I'm a manifesting generator. It's a normal thing for us to really want to speak out, and especially as children, there would be that tendency to not be able to control that, and especially for non-manifestor parents, there is that tendency to not resonate with that and try to see, hey, my child is maybe a bit loud. Like my son's manifesting generator can be a bit loud. So my instinct usually is to say, hey, not so loud, keep quiet, things like that. Not realizing that those kind of start to imprint on the subconscious mind. And the challenge is for manifestors is if they grew up with that kind of conditioning would be to hide themselves, to not speak up, because we grew up thinking that I shouldn't be heard, right? So there is that challenge of being heard, because things do want to come through, but there's that conditioning that I shouldn't speak out, something like that. So that's one of the usual things manifestors tend to deal with in terms of their life. In a webinar I did, I likened did the 5 different types to Avengers, and for me, manifestor energy is similar to Captain America energy, that leader type, wanting to go and things like. Excuse me. So that's the kind of energy that there is there for me, and it's really there to start things and to inform. I think informing is one of the biggest thing, because that is where your power lies. You never know where you'll get support from if you just say, hey, I want to start a podcast, or hey, I want to start a business, not knowing that there are people there who really want to support you and say, hey, I can help you out with this. So if you're a manifestor, the call is to initiate, to start things and inform. Let people know what's up, what you want to happen, because you never know what type of support you're going to get. And there is what we call, for each type, there is what we call signature. And basically, signature is when you know you're aligned to your design. And for manifestors, the signature is peace, because you know that when you have ideas, you speak it out, people are listening, people are supporting you, and things are happening. But it's non-self theme. Non-self theme is basically a sign that you are out of alignment, right? And for manifestors, your non-self theme would be anger. Anger because I'm speaking the things, but no one's listening, or I want to speak the things, but I feel like it's not right for me to do so, or it's not safe for me to do so. Right. So those are ways for you to know if you're in alignment or not. So that's the first type. The second type is generators. So generators tend to be the action portion of the collective, and this would make up around 30 to 35% of the population. And generators, basically, what defines generators are their defined sacral center. So the sacral center in the body is somewhere in the womb area. So it's all about, the energy is all about giving birth. So giving birth to ideas, giving birth to projects. So think of a manifestor having these ideas, speaking it out, and generators having that energy to work with manifestors to make it happen. Right. So it's really the do part of the collective, and the sacral center kind of provides that battery for us to be able to do the things that we want to do. Right. And as like any battery, it either depletes and it has to be recharged. And what depletes it, basically, very simply, what depletes the energy or the battery of a generator is when that person is doing something that he or she does not like. And oppositely, what lights that up, what gives it energy, what gives generators that energy to keep on going, is basically doing things that you like. Doing things that light you up, doing things that you are here on this earth to do meaningful things, and that could be different things to many people. That's why for generators, basically we make up 70% of the whole population, so it's a majority. Half are generators and half are manifesting generators. And when this whole big population are in jobs that they don't like, doing businesses that drains them, that's when that's when a lot of people get frustrated and things like that. And it adds up into the general frustration of the collective. But really, for generators, the call is to simply respond to tasks, to activities, to calls that light you up. And for generators, my recommendation is to always ask yourself yes or no questions, and feel that bodily sensation of what is a yes and what is a no. Right? If you try it, say yes 10 times, and compare it with saying no 10 times, you'd feel it in the body somewhere, wherein yes would feel light, it would feel easy, and a no would feel somewhat heavy. Right? So responding to that, doing things like, do I want to start this project or no? And then start to feel, is it a yes, is it a no? So for generators, especially with decision making, for most generators, it would do well to respond to yes or no questions rather than think, do I want to eat this or this and things like that. But really responding to, am I hungry right now? Yes. Do I want to eat Thai food right now? No. Do I want to eat Japanese food? Yes. So that is a good way. That's how the sacral operates basically. And in terms of signature, or how you're in alignment, is there's satisfaction. There's satisfaction because you're doing all the things, and it's generating the results that you want. And the non-self theme, how to know you're out of alignment, is basically frustration. Frustration because I'm here, I'm hustling, I'm doing all the work, I'm doing what these gurus are telling me, but I'm not generating the same results. Right. So how you're out of alignment is when you are frustrated. Right now, the hybrid of the two would be the third type, which is my type, and that is the manifesting generator. So basically, it takes it has traits of both manifestor and generator, and even if they're kind of the opposite. So remember, the manifestor is that idea person, and then just fast paced, and just, I have this idea, I want to go with it. And the generator is the one that waits for a response. And then once they have that response that yes, this is something that lights me up, that's when they do it. The manifesting generator is somewhere in between, right? So if the manifestor thinks of a lot of things and the generator focuses on one thing, the manifesting generator has a tendency to want to do a lot of things. So that's me. I want to do a lot of things. I want to do Facebook ads. I want to do human design, things like that. And we are built with the energy to actually make it happen, to actually pull through with it. But one of the challenges would be that similar cycle to the manifestors, wherein I wanted to start something and I started something, but I'm no longer having the enthusiasm to see it through. So how do I how do I complete it? So a lot of the energy for manifesting generators like me is to start something, move on to the next thing, but really see what is the fastest way for me to complete this thing that I did. Right? Say I want to do a class on human design, and then right in the middle of it, I'd say, I'm not sure if this is the right thing, but I already started it. So I'd look at what is the quickest way I can complete this, wherein I'm still satisfied with me being able to do it, and then move on to the next thing. Right? And for me, that was a breath of fresh air for me, right? Especially being told by a lot of people from my earlier industry, in the Facebook ads industry and freelancing industry, we were told to just focus on one thing. That's the way to growth. Focus on one thing and things like that. But I would always have these ideas. I want to do this. I want to do this. So it was always a challenge for me. And then I realized, hey, I was meant to be able to do all of these different things in my own way. And then I realized that a lot of the people who were saying, do one thing, focus on one thing, and it worked for them, it was because they were generators. And that's really where generators' powers lie, focusing on one thing and seeing it to completion. Right? So as manifesting generators, though we are hybrid, we are more generator than manifestors. So non-self theme would also be frustration because we're doing the things and it's not happening. And the signature would be satisfaction, that everything is going well. right? So the other two would be projectors. So projectors make up around 21% of the population, and they're here to kind of provide that support or guide that energy for generators and manifesting generators. Now I know a lot of projectors in my personal network, and a couple of them shared that, when I read the definition for projector, it feels a bit limiting, especially when all the world is like do reach your goals and things like that. And then projectors are told to support. Projectors are told to wait for the invitation. So they felt a bit, disempowered and then things like that. And for me, understanding the powers of projectors really is that it's not that they actually have a lot of power to be able to guide the energy of generators and projectors. What I would think of for generators and manifesting generators. What I would think of when there would be a generator with all this energy would be a hose, right? A hose wherein there's a lot of water, a lot of power being generated, but without that guiding power of people like projectors, then it would go nowhere, right? Even as a student, one of the things that really got my attention was, passion is good, but passion is basically useless without direction. But when you put that passion into a very intentional direction, then magic happens, and that is where I believe the power of projectors lie. To be able to support and guide generator energy, so that together we can create, a more beautiful world. And for me, again, going back to the Avengers analogy, I liken projectors to the energy of the Hulk. The Hulk is not part of the usual three, like the Thor, Captain America, or Iron Man. But the Hulk, once it is invited, once there is that need, hey Hulk, we need you. There's that energy that is being welcomed, and it really provides a lot of support and really helps that generator energy see everything to completion, right? Because when we talk about waiting for the invitation, it's not something that's limiting, it's something that actually protects the energy of projectors, right? Because projectors see basically, for one of the people I follow, Eden Carpenter, I like the example that she used about, generator, let's say two generators see each other, and then they want to build like an IKEA furniture together, right? So from scratch, and then they just trying to make it happen, all that generator energy, let's do this. But it's not happening, and then here comes a projector and then picks up the manual and says, hey guys, do you need help with that, right? And sometimes, especially if the generator energy is so into it, and then that thinking that I'm right, this is the right way to do it, but it's not happening, and then someone comes along and says, hey, you're doing it wrong, it can be triggering, right? Even though you know that it's that you are doing it wrong, but when someone else points it out, it can be triggering. So that type of interaction can lead to anger or hostility from the generators. That's why for projector energy, there's always that call to wait for the invitation, um, wherein people will actually ask for their help, so that their help is welcome, because their energy can be intense. So it's not that you have to wait. It's not like projectors have to sit down and wait for someone to ask for their help. You can ask to be invited, right? So by asking things like, do you need help with that? Do you need help with that? Can I give you my opinion? And just being able to make sure that people are open to your energy and your feedback. Because if you don't ask for that invitation, because your energy might be too intense, it might be met with rejection, and it might be a waste of your time and energy if you try to force yourselves into a place where you're not necessarily welcome, right? So yeah, especially for marketers or entrepreneurs who want to market themselves in social media, where that lies into is providing a safe space for people to want to actually come to you for help, right? Rather than what other people would do. Like these are the 5 mistakes that a lot of Facebook advertisers are making, right? Rather than focusing on the mistakes and calling them out, you can just simply let people know what you do, how you help them out, and really focus on your own energy and your own craft, and then know that when it's time for someone to ask for your help, that they will find you. So there's that knowing there. So the non-self theme for projectors is similar to frustration, wherein you know I want to help. I'm here to help. Hey guys, I'm here. I'm offering my support, but no one's taking it, right? And the signature is that feeling of also satisfaction, wherein people are coming to me, people are asking for support. So it's more of success than satisfaction. So success that, hey, I'm doing the things and people are coming to me, right? I don't have to really be out there and then put it out because people are finding me, people are finding my energy, they're asking for my support, and my support is always welcome, right? And finally, the last type would be the reflectors. Reflectors would make up around 1% of the population. And what defines reflectors basically is all of their centers are undefined, wherein what that means is that they don't have that consistent access to different energies in their body. And how that shows up is they basically reflect energies of other people. That's why they're called reflectors. And what they do is they kind of provide a mirror for all of us here. Again, because they are 1%, there is that tendency for reflectors to feel kind of different because their energy is different from everyone else. A lot of people want to be the do type of energy. They're the manifestors who have, hey, let's do this, let's do this. And here they are not necessarily having access or consistent access to that energy, right? But that's actually where the powers of reflectors lie. While all of us, the rest of us, are so focused on like the future, being able to plan things out, do things, support other people, and doing things. Reflectors are here to show us, hey, these are the current patterns that the world is, or that you are as an individual. And if you don't fix this, right? If you don't fix this, then the same patterns might happen. But if you want to make a change, these are the things that have to change. Right. In terms of internally for reflectors, they are very much affected by everything around them. The people they're with, the places they are in, and the cycles of the planets, especially the moon. So for reflectors, your best friend is actually the moon. Um, so what my recommendation is for reflectors is to do a lot of journaling, to get familiar with this, how your energy changes with the cycle of the moon. Also, how your energy changes depending on who you're with and where you are. Because there will be that tendency to get swayed by all of the different energies around you. So journaling helps. And especially if you can note, for example, the different phases of the moon during a specific journal, then that can help you understand everything that's going on around you. The classic suggestion for reflectors for making big decisions is wait 28 days. And the reason for that is, again, when you're going to make big decisions, it's important that you go through the whole lunar cycle just to be able to feel all of the different energies in terms of making that decision. But first, you can't really wait 28 days for for a lot of decisions. So though while that is still a good strategy, it would also be good for you to understand again the different influences of the moon and things like that, so that if you need to make a decision and you can't wait 28 days, then you can start to be aware of the influences that you are under, right? And then make a decision accordingly. So the non-self theme is basically that feeling of not being seen, no one's listening to me, and things like that. But the signature is one of surprise, pleasant surprise, wherein, hey, I told you about this pattern, and then you fixed it, and then it started to work well for you. That's so amazing. That's so great, right? So surprise, that pleasant surprise that, hey, you listened to me and it worked out well, right? So for me, especially with human design, because we're so different, there can be that tendency of, hey, I wish I were this design, or I wish I had this energy center defined, and things like that. But for me, it doesn't have to be that type of energy wherein I wish I was this type and all, because we were here for a specific purpose, and we were designed to be able to live out our specific purpose. And we all as a collective work together for the betterment of the world, right? So there is, for me, it's not about I wish I were this design, but it's about how can I start to show up more in my design so I can fulfill my purpose, and how can I support others as well, because we work together. to be able to live out theirs. So yeah, that's basically a very very top level thing of human design. And if you want to dive deeper, there are a lot of people talking about it. Not enough, but there are a lot. And if there's something that you want to dive deeper into, then definitely check those out.
That's so great. Thank you so much for sharing all the types and their signatures. That's wonderful. Thank you again so much. Is there anything else about human design that we didn't cover that you want to share about them?
Yeah, so you can dive deeper, but at the very for a lot of people, you can already start to really maximize this simply by knowing your type in your strategy, which is we talked about responding and waiting for the invitation. I guess the last other thing would be what we call authority and how you make decisions. And very quickly, when you Google your human design chart, it will show there what type you are and what authority you are. So authority is basically how you best make decisions. So very quickly, if you're an emotional authority, that means that you're here on this earth to feel a lot of feelings. So I'm an emotional authority, and for decision making, give yourself time to feel all of the feelings before making a decision. So especially if it's a big decision, feel free to just wait it out. Don't feel pressured to make that decision there. If it says that you're a sacred authority, what that means is that you're here to respond. So asking yourself yes or no questions will really help you make guided decisions. If you are a splenic authority, which is somewhere in the spleen, what that means is that you have a strong natural instinct. So there are answers that you know the answer to, but you don't really know how you got to that answer. But you have a deep knowing of this is what my body is telling me, this is what my instinct or my intuition is telling me. So make decisions based on that. Then if you are a ego authority or with the heart center, basically follow your heart and do what you love. If you are a self authority, what that means is you make decisions based on who you are. Asking yourself things like, am I the type of person who would make this decision? Right? That classic phrase of do you, that is the best advice for self authorities. Mental authority or no mental authority, no inner authority, or outer authority means that your best decisions are made when you are talking to someone. And when you're talking to someone, that doesn't mean that you're asking for their advice. You're just having someone there to hold space for you so that you're able to talk it out and you're able to look at the decision making outside of your own head. Because as you probably know, simply by talking out something, you're able to get clarity. And that's one of the best ways for mental authorities to make decisions. And then there's lunar authority for reflectors, wherein you look at the influence of the moon on your current energy. So if you just follow your strategy, your type, and your authority, that can go a long, long way.
Yes, all of that is very helpful. I'm an emotional authority. I have to
Yeah.
ride the wave before I make
Yeah.
decisions.
Yeah.
Yes. Well,
Yeah. So yeah, that's the very top level of human design. And again, I love talking about this, and it's kind of weird for a lot of people to see me talk about it because they know me as a Facebook ads guy and things like that. But yeah, I just talk out of passion, and I love it. I've never had anything. I've never felt more seen basically until I found human design. That's why I love it and I love sharing it. So yeah, so just all that to say, just thank you, Carla, for allowing me to talk about it and then providing me this opportunity to share it with more people. And yeah, just thank you.
yes, you're welcome. And I hope that this episode helps other people feel more seen when they learn about their human design. And speaking of being seen, where can people connect with you on social media?
Yeah, you can check me out on Instagram at ads for courses. I mostly do Facebook ad stuff, but yeah, from time to time I still do talk about human design and spirituality and things like that. But yeah, you can follow me there.
Awesome. We'll put that in the description so people can connect with you.
All right. Thank you, Carla.
All right,
Thank you
you're
everyone for
welcome.
joining us.
Yes.